while we can't be back at FAAR in the classroom, I'm excited that we are here together today. And we could not do any of these amazing events that we have at FAAR without our fabulous sponsors. So please help me in welcoming Laura Rodier with FAAR's Gold Level Affiliate Marketing Partner, the Title Professional. So Laura, thank you so much for the support. And would you like to say some few words?
Sure. Good morning, Drew, and everyone there at FAAR. Thank you for the opportunity to sponsor such a great event. The over 55 market is definitely booming, and it's great to have something that focuses just on that. Here at the Title Professionals, we are still open. We have never closed. We've modified our business a little to meet the current times. Many of you might be wondering about e-recordings and electronic closings. And we are fully capable to do that. We just have to have the right set of circumstances. If any of you attended the panel a few weeks ago about addressing those issues, it's not as easy as just everyone likes to sign things online with DocuSign. There's a little bit more to it than that. But we are ready to go with those things as soon as the rest of the world catches up. We love working with FAAR and being able to, we miss going to events and seeing everyone, much like I'm sure you all miss going to events. But thankfully, we're all embracing this new virtual world we're living in and can get together this way also. I noticed that Mark Steele, our president and owner, has joined us. Mark, would you like to say anything or just going to give us a wave? Just a wave for Mark, I think. Anyway, Mark's joined us this morning. Again, thank you for the opportunity to host this great event today, and we very much look forward to working with all of you in the future.
Well, thank you so much, Laura, and to the Title Professionals for the support. So thank you all for being here. Hey, Mark. So I will say this is, I took the NAR's At Home with Diversity course on Tuesday. And there was a section on the 55 and over market and which titles or words they find appropriate for what they're called. So I'm so afraid to say any of the words because I can't remember which one it was. But if 55 plus is wrong, I apologize. But now we get to the main event, our booming business panel focused on how agents can turn working with seniors into a passionate and profitable part of their business. So I'm going to start by introducing each of the speakers, and if you want to wave hello, and then we'll get started. So first we have Ann Overington, who is with Century 21 Redwood and also the president of our Fredericksburg Realtor Foundation. Thank you, Ann, for being here. We have Kim Moulds, who is with Smooth Transitions, a local company that helps seniors move onto the next phase of their life. Pat Holland with Healthy Generations, the area agency of aging. Love alliteration there. Cindi Bowen with Spring Arbor and also the co-chair of the FAAR Community Service Committee. James Roberson with the 516 Project and frequent recipient of foundation dollars. And finally, Jennifer Sloat with the Gold Level Affiliate Marketing Partner, Hovnanian Homes. So thank you all for being here, amazing panel. Let's get started. So as Kim said before, we want this to be interactive. So if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat. If you happen to be on Facebook, hello, Facebook, you can type them over there. Or when we get to the point where you want to ask questions, you can ask them. But good luck, Kim, with all of that work on the background. So yeah, we have muted everyone except for the speakers, so don't be shy when we get to that point. So, Ann, I'm going to start with you. We're going, so can you talk to the group about your business model since you really have carved out a niche serving seniors, and how have you benefited personally and your business benefited by helping seniors?
Well, first of all, it's just all about heart. And so I think working with seniors, you've got to have heart in order to make it work, because it can be a little bit challenging. Many of them need that in-home visit. They don't, some of them, if they're seniors, and I hope that's an appropriate term, but if they are quite a bit older, they are likely not to have an email. And they want that one-on-one time with you. So if you have seniors in your pipeline, just understand that it is going to take a little more effort, but it's so rewarding. So the reason I really got started in senior care was because my parents and my mother-in-law were both facing those challenges of moving from larger homes that they'd lived in for many, many years, and then downsizing into senior communities. So I learned those ropes by being a daughter. But then I also left real estate. I got my license in 2002. I left real estate for about 6 years in 2009 and went into senior care and was director of sales and marketing for 3 local communities. And then I came back into real estate and then really focused on seniors. So again, if you find that passion and have the time to work with seniors, it is very rewarding. In some cases, you're working not only with the senior, but you're also working with their family members, depending on their level of need. So I think there are a couple of things that are really important. One is matching their need in terms of communication and how you go about working with them and their family members. Many times they're out of state. The other thing is I have a terrific group of vendors that I rely on and I trust to do the right thing, show up on time, be polite, charge them appropriately. And so my big push to families and to seniors is when I come into your home, if there are things that need to be done in order to get it on the market, we have a whole team of people that we rely on to make that happen. And so particularly if the family is out of state and the senior has already moved into a senior community, of course, then we monitor all of that, access to the house, manage contractors and so on. Then the other business, of course, is baby boomers, of which I am. I turned 60 last year, and so I'm really proud of that big number. But anyway, so I looked at my transactions the last 6 months. Out of 28 closings, 13 of those were 55 and older. So 46% of my business is 55 plus. So I looked at all of those names, and some of them were many of them were downsizing into either new construction or into over 55 communities. Some of them had moved to senior communities already. And when I say senior communities, Cindi Bowen can talk to this, but those are communities that offer additional services, independent living, assisted living, and memory care. So we have a whole way of managing those transactions so that the senior can move. The house is vacant. We get contractors in to take care of things. Kim Moulds at Smooth Transitions helps us to get those items out of the house, whether sold or donated or moved to the senior community, and she'll speak to that. But it has to be a team effort. It really does take a village. And then the last thing I'm going to say briefly, because Laura was speaking from title professionals, they can do remote closings. So many traditional senior communities do not allow visitors in. We had a closing last Friday. We were not allowed into that senior community. So we set up a card table out in the breezeway, and our client came out. The title attorney was there, and we did the closing outside. So again, it's all of those pieces that have to come together to make a deal work. And you just have to be patient, and it is very rewarding to know that you've helped a family and helped someone ease that transition, because it can be very scary and full of angst. So
absolutely. And I'll say I love technology and the way that it seamlessly help us with email and DocuSign, but I will say when I do have my senior clients, I love going over to their house and sitting down with the paperwork and having them sign with a pen and just having that connection and just talking over a cup of coffee. That's one of my favorite parts with helping the senior clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And just remember, I know that I've gotten several deals because I was the only one that sent a personal thank you note. If you take the time to treat them with respect and do the things that they are accustomed to having done for them, you will gain their trust and get the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Anne. Now I'm going to move over to Jennifer for a minute. Jennifer, Can you tell us a little bit about what K-Hove offers in the way of multi-generational living? We know a lot of folks want to be able to live with an aging parent, but don't have the best setup in their current home. So what can you tell us?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for having me. And I'll just kind of emphasize Ann's sentiments that, you know, we need to treat our customers the way that they anticipate to be treated. And it is a little bit different when you're dealing with a 55 plus person versus maybe a, you know, a millennial. And I think when we meet those needs, we really can make a difference in people's lives. I really loved what Ann said about that. But otherwise, Hovnanian really has a huge signature of the Four Seasons line, which is an active adult, basically specific line with high-end, you know, communities that would offer pools and tennis courts and lifestyle living, clubhouses. One of the ones that probably more people might be familiar with is right up on 234 in the Prince William area, as soon as you get off of exit 152. That one's a little bit of an older community, but it was kind of the first kind of stamp on it. It started during actually the boom. It's still a very popular community in the resale market. And pretty soon we're actually going to be opening another one in the Minnieville Road area. We also have a community everybody I'm sure on this call is very familiar with, Embry Mill, that is looking for active adult, and we are very close to having that buttoned up and hopefully getting something here in Stafford County that'll be very exciting for a lot of active adult purchasers. But the thing that I can tell you that we have available right now, and I'm just going to kind of flip my screen around a little bit here so I can show you all, but I'm here actually at Vincent Mill Estates, which is one of our communities in Stafford. We're finishing up actually this community right now. This was one of our fastest selling communities right on Route 17. And one of the things that has been extremely popular for us here and at so many of our Hovnanian communities is our signature extra suite. So I'm going to show you here. You can see we have the extra suite plus. So I've got that kind of shown. This is a traditional 2-story house, but it's allowing the ability for multi-generational living. And I can tell you right now myself, I'm actually going through this with my parents-in-laws, and we're thinking about doing something like this. And what you're seeing is an increase for plans that offer this type of living, where you have, you know, kind of the functional spaces, a separate area for mom and dad, where you have an actual bedroom, a full bath, and then even a living space if you want to. If you can see that, you can even get a little kitchenette where mom and dad can really, truly make it their own. As you're looking here, you'll actually see that this is kind of how it will go. I'm going to try my best to show you all without making you dizzy. But this would be kind of a space where they could do the living room. And then you can go out and we can walk. I thought that would show you actually the suite, but I apologize. I must have clicked the wrong one. But this is at so many of our communities that K-Hov has now. And I can tell you that I believe that during these uncertain times that we're in right now, that home has become more important than ever. I'm sure that every real estate agent on this call's business has increased. Our business has increased. In the state of Virginia alone, just new construction, we're selling 10 houses a week, which that's just new construction. That's not even counting the resale market. And a lot of the market has shifted to the multi-generational living. And I think what you're going to see is an increased demand for that because of the cost of living and people wanting to be close to families when they've been separated for so long. And so much is going to change about the way that we live. And K-Hov is ready for it. We already have these multi-generational active adult communities coming soon.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. That is actually a really cool layout for the house. Well, thank you. Cindi, this brings us to you. For those folks who might need a little more help than their families can provide, can you talk to us about what a place like Spring Arbor provides?
So you take care of your parents, and then it gets to where it's beyond what you can do for several different reasons. It could be they need someone with them during the day and you have to work. It could be the physical aspect of it. So Spring Arbor is assisted living and memory care. The benefits of Spring Arbor is we're all on one floor. We have staff 24/7. We've got 3 different floor plans. We have a nurse on staff 24/7, depending on the time of day. Sometimes I have 4 nurses in the building. We always have CNAs to help with the activities of daily living, your dressing, your bathing, personal hygiene, that type thing. We really price it separately. We start with your basic rate, which is the apartment. That includes your laundry, your linen, your housekeeping, meals, medical transportation. My kids love it. They can't wait to move in. The parents, not so much. But then we have your level of care, and we have 6 levels of care. So sometimes people move in just because they don't want to cook, they don't want to clean, they don't want to do anything, but they're perfectly able to go out and go to Walmart and go visit with friends, and they go play golf and that type thing. Then as they age in place, we just bring the services to them. One benefit of Spring Arbor is we don't make you move to a different part of the building based on your level of care. We do have a 3-year license. So the Department of Social Services comes out, they do their survey, and based on how well you do in following the regulations, you get a 1-year license. If you exceed the expectations, you get a 2-year license. And this last inspection, we got a 3-year license. And only 14% of all assisted livings actually have this 3-year license. We also have memory care. Some people think the higher the level of care, then they go into memory care, but that is not true. Memory care is you need to have a safe environment so that you don't wander out, or maybe because of your cognitive abilities, you need to be in a smaller environment, more hands-on. So what we do is we look at the individual to determine, are you safe in assisted living, or do you need more of the memory care? And one thing that is very good here in Fredericksburg is all the assisted livings truly look out for the individual. So if someone comes in here and they're just not comfortable, we don't try to talk them into it. We try to find out what would make them more comfortable and direct them to the appropriate place. So I think, especially here in Fredericksburg, we don't look at it as a sales job. We look at it as a solution to a problem. And we've got a lot of partners in the area that we work with to make sure that the senior resident ends up in the best place for them.
Thank you, Cindi. All right. This next question is for Kim, and it kind of hits a little close to home. Every time that I go visit my parents, who live right around the corner from Ann, I talk to them about the basement that they have that is just packed full of stuff. I will say I've taken all of my childhood things, but there is a lot of stuff that my brother has already told me he would rather just light the house on fire and walk away. So, which is true. So, and Kim, so if we have someone like my parents who have a lot of things and a lot of furniture and they're not going to fit in that 2-bedroom apartment at Spring Arbor, how do you help families downsize a lifetime of memories?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for letting me be here. I was really excited, and I certainly appreciate it. The first thing that we do, Drew, is if they were moving to Spring Arbor, I happen to work with Cindi quite often. She's been very good to smooth transitions. The first thing we want to do is a floor plan. We measure the furniture that they want to take with them. We measure the apartment. And the first thing I do is sit down with the client and show them what might fit in their new apartment. It's kind of the beginning of the letting go process for a lot of people. And we work with all aspects. We're a cohesive company, meaning we're there from the very beginning all the way to the end. Problem solvers, like Cindi said, we're solutions, another solution to the many problems when especially seniors are downsizing and moving from a home that they have been in many years. Many of them don't want to leave. So one of the things we do is come up with a personalized plan, do the floor plan. We help with the packing, the sorting, we take pictures, we move them, set up their new home, hanging up pictures, connecting their computer, their television, hanging, fresh sheets on the bed, unpacking, and then going back to the home and getting rid of those items that were left behind. That's in a perfect world. In a perfect world, the things that they can't take with them, we like to do at the very end. It's much easier. We try to have our clients focus on the 5-finger rule only. Let's only worry about those things you love, want, need, use, and what brings you joy. So if I were helping your parents with their basement, perhaps what I would hope to do is maybe we could get them to their new place first. If that doesn't happen, then we're working close with the realtor. What do they need to have done? You know, what needs to happen with the basement? Do we need to get everything out? So we work closely with the realtor to find out what needs to be done so we can get the house on the market, or maybe just have the parent age in place better.
Sorry, I muted myself. That is really awesome. I did not know that you existed, so
Oh,
I'm
darn.
going to
And I lived in Fox Point also.
Well, they're not moving anytime soon, but when they do.
So I just have to say that a service like Kim's is immeasurable for a realtor, because if the family is working with smooth transitions, Kim and the realtor are engaged by phone every day, working on that timeline. So we know when the senior is moving out. We know when Kim is going to be finished with the clean out. And so that is a partnership that is valuable during that process. So keep her in mind. It's amazing. I think just one example real quick is that I had a client who had a beautiful curio, and what Smooth Transitions does is they take photos of everything before they move it. So when she moved to the senior community, Smooth Transitions set up her curio down to the tassel on the key in the drawer. I mean, they're just so meticulous. And then that gives that senior level of comfort the first night that they're in their new apartment. Beds are made, curios in place, feels like home.
Awesome.
Thank
And
you.
by the way, thank you, Ann, for speaking up.
Yes.
And all the panel members, if you have anything you need to add in, talk over me. You're way more important than I am.
I just sent a message. I just sent something through chat for a question for Kimberly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just sent it.
Oh, what? I don't even know how to get it.
No, hey, you know what we're going to do? Hey, Lynn, I saw that question. I love it. We're going to give all of our speakers a chance to talk first, and then we'll go back to question and answer, so we can make sure that we can hear from all of our speakers. But I've got you. I see it in here, and I'm sure that's the $64 million question, right? Is how do you convince people to let go of their stuff? But we'll hold that thought for a minute.
I need that with my parents as well. All right, we're going to move over to Pat. Let's turn our focus to seniors who need help and resources, whether that's transportation or navigating Medicare. What kind of services does Healthy Generations offer?
So Healthy Generations, we were called Rappahannock Area Agency on Aging, but that sounded so governmental. And as you all are saying, Healthy Generations, you are dealing with generations of families, and we are dealing with generations of families. So Healthy Generations really does give us a better overall being, which is to keep our seniors healthy, safe, in the community with dignity and grace. And we have a number of different programs that can help do that. We get a lot of people that call in for information. We have thousands and thousands of calls a year. They may be looking for help with meals. They may be temporarily or permanently homebound. We have home delivered meals. Right now, our home delivered meals program, because of the COVID virus, has increased over 300%. Where a person is just 60 or over and homebound is our usual standard for a meal. Right now, with the federal government's assistance, we've got additional grant funds. Anybody that's over 60 right now is considered homebound because we have a stay-at-home, safer at home order for that vulnerable population. So we've seen a tremendous increase with our current staff. So we're getting spread thin. One of the other programs that we have is a homemaker program. So as we get older, whether we don't like to clean anymore or we have trouble cleaning, vacuums can be heavy, dusting, high spots. People have, our shoulders start to wear out. So the homemaker program does light housekeeping for those frail elderly who are having a hard time doing that themselves. We had a client a number of years ago who was in the hospital for respiratory problems, and the doctors were telling her she needed to go to an assisted living. And the nurse came in a little while later and said, I need you to call the Agency on Aging and see what they can do for you. So what we did was we set her up with a homemaker who came every other week to begin with. But as she grew a little more frail, we were able to change that to once a week. And that program kept her in her own house for an additional 4 years. That's what we're looking to do. But when the time comes and somebody is not safe being in their home, we have options. It's really called options counseling. We will sit down and talk to the clients. And this is specifically for a person who has to be a part of it, but family members are truly invited to participate. And by options, we mean somebody with a large house calls in, they have a yard, they're not able to cut the grass anymore. It's as simple as, what do I do? Because a lot of times the people are so overwhelmed, they cannot think of those things that are everyday thoughts to us. What are their options as far as the house is concerned? You know, there are many different options. We're only telling people, giving them ideas. We're not telling people anything other than information, but giving them ideas of what they can do and which directions they can go in. They are the ones that make that decision with the information that we give them. We have checking programs. Checking kind of sounds like we're doing something with the bank. It really is a friendly phone call. Before the virus, we were calling people every day. Because we've had that almost same 300% increase, it's impossible for us to call people every day and all by ourselves. So we have a volunteer group that's calling them. Carter Bank and Trust they've been calling people. They asked what we needed done, and that was one of the things. So they're actually calling from 2 of their branches. But just to make sure somebody's okay, do we need to remind them to take medication? We can't do anything with their medication, but we certainly can say, have you taken it today? Just as a friendly reminder. One of the other programs that we have is a PERS, which is a personal emergency response system. Ours is called CareNect, and we are licensed through the National Association of Area Agency on Agings to provide this service. And it's the button, do I need help? But what this button does is allow somebody just to have a friendly conversation. It's set up so that it goes to a call center. The call center is in Minnesota. The people set up how they would like an emergency handled. If they want the rescue squad called first in any case, then that's what happens. If they want a family member or a neighbor called first, that's what's happened. So it's not automatic, I push my button and the rescue squad comes. We do have several mispushed calls on a regular basis. And those are really great because it makes that person have to talk to the person at the call center on the other line, which in turn makes it less scary to push that button, because a large percentage of people that have a system will not push that help button. So keep that in mind when you're going out to clients' houses, is that we do have a system that can assist. It's a wonderful system. Friendly calls, the weather, whatever they want to talk about is all part of the plan. So again, our goal is to keep people home in their community. And when that is not feasible any longer, we will provide information on what's available for their needs. We do have a senior resources directory on our website. Our website is healthygenerations.org. So it's healthygenerations with an S.org. And on that, there's a tab for our senior resources directory, which is approximately 40 pages of different phone numbers, information, state, federal, local government. Really, it's kind of the yellow pages for seniors. So we have opportunity. We have them in print. It's always updated on the website. And we also have sponsorship opportunities if anybody would like to put their one page on the back cover. That's also available. We'll put that plug in. As a nonprofit, we're always got to put that plug in.
Pat, we did have one very appropriate question that I'll ask now. Is there a fee? Are there expenses associated with the programs that you just talked about?
So here's the great part about our programs is that we do not charge. I'm gonna say the majority of our programs have no fee. We do have transportation. I'm sorry, Drew mentioned that and I totally kind of glanced over it. We do have mobility options transportation, which is door-to-door transportation to medical appointments and fun appointments. A lot of times you're only talking about medical appointments, but we need to have fun also. There has been a large ridership, so it's about a 2-week period of time for an appointment, but our van or our car comes to your house, picks you up, gets you to where you're going. Right now, that is a free service based on the COVID virus, so we don't have any charge. Typically, that is $2 a trip. So when we pick you up and get you to the doctors, that's $2. When we take you home, that's another $2. So we're talking $4 round trip. Best deal in town. So that is for people who are 60 and over or disabled. So we can cover any age over 18 with a disability. We take people to work. We take people to hair appointments if you can get them. We just will provide that service. The rest of our programs, our homemaker program, we have a senior cafe where people come to socialize. Of course, that's closed right now, which is really hard for our seniors. But none of those programs charge. We do accept contributions, but we do not have a charge. We can prioritize services if we have waiting lists based on income. But what I've always said is that if Bill Gates and his wife call and they're in our area and we can provide services to them, we will provide services to them.
I just got to say something to Pat. I just want to give you a personal thank you. When it was called the Rappahannock Area Board, I guess on Aging, I'm sorry, I might mess it up, but when it was called that, my mom a couple of years ago was able to use your services through your company totally free of charge, just like Pat said. And because of her company, she was able to get back home. And she had been in a retirement home and it was very hard on her. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart I can tell that this is a passion project for you. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm tearing up too. I'm a baby. I was on the news talk radio the other day. And of course I started the conversation crying. I was like, uh-oh, where do we go from here? But thank you very much, Jennifer. I do appreciate that. We try our best and we are there for anybody that has aging questions.
Thank you, Pat. That was amazing amount of information.
I did see, I'm going to interrupt you. I did see a question that asked about where we provide transportation, and all of our services cover the planning district. So if you're in the city of Fredericksburg, Stafford, Spotsylvania, King George, Caroline County, we will get you anywhere. We will get within that area. And we will also, our services cover anybody in those areas. One of the things about transportation is that we provide transportation within the service area. So if you're down by Kings Dominion, the far reaches of Caroline, and you go to a doctor in North Stafford, we will get you there. It's not a problem. Going to Richmond or going to DC area, that's harder. But we do have a mobility options manager who will help you determine what the best form of transportation is. So we're there to help in a lot of different ways. If there's any questions, just please call us.
Awesome, thank you. And on that note, everyone, thank you for the amazing questions. Keep typing them in the chat and we will get to them. But thank you, Pat. Next, we're gonna move on over to James. I see you guys everywhere, but James, what are you seeing in your work with the challenge seniors face aging in place?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us on. So our focus is similar to Pat's. You know, we're working with seniors to help them be able to stay in their homes, and so doing a lot with wheelchair ramps, handicap access, things like that. One of our big concerns is we get a lot of calls that and requests that typically come from a family member and say, hey, my mom is living on her own, or my parents are living on their own, and she's fallen because she didn't have access, or she's fallen because the steps are rotted out of the front porch and things like that. And so what we really want to try to focus on with those situations is just making the house and the access to the house safer for the person living there. We don't want them obviously to get hurt, and we try to put in systems in place that can help them stay in their home longer. So we do a lot with wheelchair ramps, like I said, handicap access, putting in railings, low entry bathtubs, all those sort of things. And really what we see the most of is like I said, just that the people that, they're not quite ready to leave their home and go to, like the spring arbors or the other assisted living facilities. But they just need that extra assistance in, making their home safe for them and making it a place that they can feel comfortable living out, their lives and going about their daily activities. One of our big goals is to ensure that anybody that needs those services can get it, and so that's why we've partnered with the FAAR Foundation several times to be able to fund some of these ramps. Like Pat said, we're not going to deny services to somebody that needs help. If somebody calls us, we're going to go out, we're going to talk to them, try to figure out the situation, and there are times where we find that families are able to afford the materials, but they weren't able to find a contractor, or unfortunately they might have gotten ripped off by a contractor or something like that. And in those terms, I use the term contractors loosely because the ones that are ripping people off I don't consider contractors. But so there are situations where they can pitch in and help toward the materials. As with Pat's organization, we don't charge a fee to the families that we serve, and so if they call us out, we check everything out. As long as it's something that we can do that will help better their life, we're going to try our best to do it. If they're able to help with it, that's great. If not, we'll do the fundraising. Try to, we'll call Kim and say, "Hey, Kim, how much money has the foundation got? We got this project coming up." And so, and we've got some great sponsors in the community that help out with those things. So we try to make sure that we're able to serve families without putting an extra financial burden on them. Most of the families that we end up serving in that elderly frame, they're living on a very limited income. They might have Social Security or a little bit of a retirement or something, but for the most part, they don't have a plethora of money coming in. So we want to make sure there again that not only are we helping them have safe access, but we're not interrupting their lifestyle and causing them to forgo other things that they need in order to get the help they need from us.
Awesome, thank you. And you brought up something that I would love to have Anne speak on for just 1 second, a shameless plug, more of an educational piece. Anne, if I don't see you on my screen, but can you speak really quickly, do like a 30-second elevator speech on what the foundation is actually, in case there's someone on here who doesn't know what it is?
Yes. So the good news is I think I'm preaching to the choir. I see many familiar faces and friendly faces that I know have helped the foundation in the past, but the Fredericksburg Realtors Foundation is the charitable arm of FAAR. So we collect funds through giving and then disperse them into the community for housing related needs. And we meet once a month. Right now we're meeting by Zoom. And we're still looking at grant requests. We have, I believe, have given 5 grants since January, Kim, is that right? I think it's 5, yeah. So given about $13,000 away roughly. And so we are always looking for donations, and we have a big push this year. It's simply $20 for 2020. If each realtor and affiliate member can give $20, we have roughly 1,700 members, we would make $34,000 this year. Now we know that's probably not reasonable to expect everyone to give $20, but we certainly would appreciate it if you would consider it. So $20 for 2020, you can give on the FAAR website. There is a foundation page, and you can do that by PayPal. You can send us a check. You can send up smoke signals. You can text me, whatever you'd like to do, or reach out to Kim, and we'll be happy to take your donation. Don't limit yourself to $20, but that's all we're asking people this year. And then we give to groups like James, Project 516. They're the people out in the community that are working with everyone to keep a roof over their head. So we get those requests. They have to come through a nonprofit. So if you know of a family, for instance, that needs something to stay in their home, we'll connect them with a nonprofit that can send the grant request in, and then we can meet their needs.
If I can jump back in real quick, two things I forgot to mention, and that Ann brought up there is one. With our wheelchair program, wheelchair ramp program, we've made the switch over to trying to do mostly aluminum ramps. And one of the reasons is that they basically last forever, and they can be moved to other homes. So, you know, a lot of the families that we're working with, you know, they might have a situation where, you know, mom and dad can stay in that home for another year, another two, and then they're moving into one of the assisted living facilities. So then we can go get those pieces of the ramp back and put them at another house, because they're basically interchangeable. But one thing that I know Kim has sent out before, but as realtors, as you're going into homes and, you know, get ready to list a home, or you're looking at a home that's already listed, if there's a wheelchair ramp there that's one of these aluminum ramps, and the family either, you know, no longer needs it, or the family moving in doesn't want it there, or whatever, please call us. We will gladly come out and you know, disassemble that ramp and take those pieces and be able to use that somewhere else. So that's a great way to help us out on the, you know, saving expenses of having to buy those pieces. Like I said, the aluminum ramps pretty much last forever. And the other thing for our contact, it's our website is 516project.org. And that has most of the information on there about, you know, projects we have coming up and things like that. And then of course we're also on Facebook and Instagram, all that good stuff.
Awesome. So
yeah, and just
you.
before we leave the foundation, real quick, anyone can give. So it does not, we're not limiting our donations to affiliates and realtors. Listen, anyone, we will gladly accept donations from anyone.
Thank you. And thank you, James, for all the amazing work that you do. And by the way, I know that there's a lot of information flying around here, but I believe Kim said that she's going to collect everything and kind of put it together to be able to send out. Did I make that up, Kim, or is that good?
That is fine, absolutely. Your wish is my command, Mr. President.
Voluntold.
Exactly. But okay, so we are to the point of where we can kind of open up questions. So Lynn, I know that you had a question. Would you like to ask it? Lynn, are you still there?
Yeah, it was for Kimberly, or actually anyone. You know, I have a client who inherited a house from her sister who passed, and the house is full of everything. It's as if she walked out the door and left everything there. I mean, her clothes, I mean, everything's very nice. But the house is just sitting there because they're so overwhelmed. They don't know what to do with all the stuff. It's not necessarily that they want the stuff, but it's really nice stuff. So they're like, Lynn, what do we do with the stuff? And I'm like, well, let's get the house on the market first, and then we'll figure out what to do with the stuff. But they cannot go there. They want to figure out what to do with the stuff.
Well, so we work with that quite often, Lynn. I give a free consultation where we go by. We're actually helping a woman now whose mother recently passed away, and she was a collector. And by collector, I mean, I've never seen so many stuffed bears and gnomes and those plates that hang on the wall. I've never seen so much in my life, and we've been doing this for almost a decade. So anyway, I went to meet with the daughter, and we came up with the plan. It's my job, you know, we work with local auction companies, we work with local buyers, we work with local estate sale companies. So it's my job to go in and figure out for the client, with their help, what is the best way to disperse of these treasures. And sometimes it's all of those I mentioned. If there's a time frame where perhaps the home is sold, we're going to do things a lot differently than we're going to do if we have a lot of time, 60 days or more. But like I said, I meet with people like that all the time, and then we come up with the different options that they have, you know, when it comes to their timeline.
Thank you. Does anyone have anything else to add on that? Lynn, did that answer your question? Awesome. Thank you, Kim. I believe Sandy Pierce had a question.
Well, I think it was kind of answered, but
okay.
I was just asking Kim also if, you know, not necessarily 55 and better people transitioning to other homes, but just somebody who has a lot of stuff and doesn't know what to do with it. And Kim, you answered, I think, but.
Yes, I did.
Awesome.
Yes, we do.
Sorry.
Anyone who needs our help, we're more than happy to assist.
Thank you. Did anyone else have any more questions that they have thought of in the meantime that they didn't chat or type in the chat box?
Shay had a question about, are there opportunities to help sell furniture or other valuable items that people may need to get rid of? And then I would add as a follow-up question, what about just donating? I know so many people who are just like, hey, we'd love to just give this, you know, to somebody who could use it and not sell it. So open to anybody, I guess.
Well, yes, there's several options. You know, again, calling the local, you know, you can always call me. I'm not going to charge for, you know, just to give you ideas, especially to realtors or our partners. But there are several options. It really depends on what is it. You know, unfortunately, Goodwill and places like that have gotten a little picky. And so but other places have come up. So whenever you have a client who has things that needs to be gotten rid of, give me a call and I'll be happy to give you a list of the places that we use that are constantly changing as they get more and they no longer want any more donations. Then we're going over to this place.
You know, on our end, in particular, if you know, if it's somebody that has tools that are in good shape, a lot of times we can put stuff like that to use. And also appliances and things. We, you know, appliances and that sort of thing aren't our main focus, but we do often get families that are in need of a refrigerator or you know, like that. And so we try to work with them and find them what they need.
I have a question for
I can
James.
just say something.
I'm sorry.
Oh, never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What about those James, what about those stair climbers that people get in to go up and down the stairs? Do you guys have a need for those?
At this point, I haven't done anything with those. And mainly that's just on my own end. I haven't done enough research on them to know exactly how the installs work and everything. So we had a realtor reach out about a month ago that had one in a house they were getting ready to list. So I think I probably just need to do some research on those, on how they work and how they get installed and everything to see if that's something that we could work with.
Okay.
Among the questions that we were given prior to today's meeting, Kim, was how, if you're working with a senior buyer or an over 55 buyer, is there a way to identify those communities that are age restricted? And there are two. If you go to Bright on the main search page down at the bottom under legal, which is kind of interesting, there are two spaces at the bottom of that search page. One is legal on the left, and there's a category called other on the right. But under legal, there are two questions: senior community, yes or no, which you can click, and the other is age requirement. And on the age requirement question on Bright, you just put in 55 plus. And just be aware that there are some communities that are not age restricted, but they may be villa style living. For instance, Salem Fields and Lee's Hill are two that come to mind. They are not age restricted, but they have a lot of 55 plus folks living there. So just be aware of that too. So if you're searching in those areas, do not put the age restriction in there.
Thank you, Anne. I was about to ask that question.
Oh.
If I can jump in on that for just a second, and in our senior resources directory, we do have a listing. We have listings for subsidized housing, senior subsidized housing. We have senior communities, which would be the apartment communities. Of course, all the assisted livings and nursing homes are listed in there. But we also have a small section on the 55 and over active communities. And we try to keep it up, but it's not the top of our list. So if you go in and look at it and there's something that we need to add, please always send that information along. But there is that, that listing is in our senior resources directory.
Thank you.
Drew, I'm seeing Shay has a hand raised.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, a couple things. Number one, thanks all of y'all and Cindi, Kim, Pat, Jennifer, and Jim. Thank you for the information. I know that I've talked to all of you all about senior care, especially when my dad had Alzheimer's. We have had many conversations, so thank y'all. But I just wanted to mention a few things. Number one, Emery Mill, and I can't remember the builder, but our office did a tour about 2 years ago. There is a house up there that I think every real estate agent ought to go look at. It is so cool because it is a connected multi-generational home, and there's a door on one side that actually, when you walk in, it's like a villa. But then there's a door straight in front of you that you walk into, and it's a home, 4 or 5 bedroom home with a basement. But the senior has every single thing that they need to be near the family, but they have their own housing. And there is a door that can be locked and kept locked that connects it. But it is just a really, really nice floor plan that we saw. And I really enjoyed that. The other thing, remember, Habitat for Humanity will take pretty much anything that you have if you're trying to get rid of something or know a client. And then they sell it in their restore. And of course, those funds go toward trying to provide housing for other people who are in need. And then what Pat was mentioning about having the list of resources, everybody needs to print out all 40 pages. That is some great information for us. But the other thing, Pat, that I want to mention, and maybe you can say a couple words about it, because I have a couple clients right now who are asking, is affordable housing for seniors, like those apartments, because some of them don't qualify for subsidized housing, but what they get in their retirement or their Social Security really isn't enough to afford just the normal apartments here in town. So have you all had a lot of calls from people? Because I know I do, having calls from people whose parents are just looking for maybe an apartment. They can live on their own, but they would maybe want to move closer to family here and looking for an apartment or something like that, but can't afford it.
That's a problem. The problem is, of course, as you're mentioning, the cost of monthly rent. There is only so many subsidized apartments in the area, and that's 30% of a person's income. We are dealing with folks who their average income, typically dealing with people, their average income is about $1,200 a month. That just, it doesn't do it. So you have nothing to tell them. You know, look for a room. Can you look for a room in a house? Of course, you don't want to do that, but it is an option. The other problem that you run into is that when a person is ready to leave their home or their apartment and they need assisted living, how do you pay for that? And that's another tough question. There are auxiliary grants through the Department of Social Services, but those auxiliary grants have income limits which are very, very low. And so the majority of us in the middle have nowhere to turn. It's a tough situation. The second that you can't take care of yourself or are having trouble taking care of yourself, you need a really, really good advocate to try to figure something out. The subsidized apartments, most of them have 1 to 2 year waiting lists. So we tell people as soon as they call, just get on that list, because you never know. That list, 6 months, there's a lot of people that for whatever reason are not on that list anymore. Sometimes they move fast, sometimes they move slow. But that's all we can do is let them know that get on that list and here are some options. It's terrible.
It's true.
Hey, Pat, Debbie Irwin just asked, do some subsidized apartments allow full paying renters?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do some subsidized apartments allow full paying renters?
I don't believe so. I think they're for people that are 60 and over income qualified. plus some, each of them has to have a opportunity for just those under 60 that are disabled. So I'm not 100% sure of that question, the answer to that question, but I know places that we typically deal with, Mill Park Terrace, that's entirely subsidized. There is Forest Village. There's a number of seniors in Forest Village. They may allow full pay renters.
Okay. Thank you. We are coming to the end of our time, but I would like to say, I see your hand. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to add?
I do, real quick. So two things. One is, if you want to work with seniors, you need to volunteer. You need to get out in the community. You need to show your passion. You need to be a helper, because that's the only way this is going to happen, particularly with COVID. I mean, Pat, at 300% more volume in terms of need, find a place, find a niche where you can help, because that's the key. So I had to say that. And then the other thing too is, if you are working with a senior who is in a community like Spring Arbor, many of them do not allow visitors right now with COVID. So you need to familiarize yourself with elder law attorneys. And there are several very good ones locally, but they can help you determine what you need to do. So we had that transaction last week. We needed a power of attorney. So they can help you with that. Elder law attorneys are wonderful about that. And then the title companies as well can help you do a very specific power of attorney for that transaction. But if you can't get into a senior community and you need signatures, you're going to need to find a family member that can assist with that and make it happen.
Thank you. By the way, we had a question pop in. Pat, we know that what your service area is. Is there a organization like yours in Prince William County?
There absolutely is. The entire United States is covered by a area agency on aging. So the best way to find that out is to look at our senior resources directory. We have the entire list of all 25 that are in Virginia, but there's also elder care locator, and that information is in the directory. I believe the website is eldercare.acl.gov, and they will plug you right into the agency on aging that serves an address that you're interested in getting services at. So yes, absolutely.
Drew, I had one question from the chat, since Ann just touched on elder law attorneys. Do you have any recommendations on where to find reputable attorneys in that space?
Do you have that in your directory, Pat? The elder law?
That's something that we don't, because it changes.
Okay. If someone wants to give me a call, I can tell you who I've been dealing with.
Okay.
Yeah, just 540-207-0526.